What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with the RK Outpost, and over the past several years, Hollywood continues to do the same things over and over and over again, despite how many times they fail, especially when it's associated with identity politics. And sometimes when you look and see the way something's been marketed or promoted, you can almost tell what the end result will be, just like a Hollywood script. And in the case of the 355, when I saw the first previews for this months ago, and I saw that it was an all-powerful female action spy movie where every single man was portrayed as either evil, an idiot, or both, it was pretty obvious what the result would inevitably be. And now it's finally come to fruition with headlines like this. Jessica Chastain's all-female, ultra-progressive The 355 bombs in theaters. Is this a sign that woke messaging is dead? Well, we'll get to that second part of the statement in a second. But yes, it has indeed completely bombed in the box office. And when you look at the box office results, here are all the headlines talking about Spider-Man continuing to do incredible things in the box office, despite everyone still talking about the pandemic, while the 355 was an absolute misfire, as is described here. And when we look at the numbers, the weekend domestic chart, you can see Spider-Man No Way Home in its, its third or fourth, I think it's its fourth weekend, right? $33 million in the box office. Holy shit. Sing 2 still coming in at second. And then the debut of the 355 opening weekend, $4.8 million. And that was after it had an opening day, a preview night of only $350,000. Absolutely pathetic. But for those of you that aren't sure what this is, let's learn a little bit more about the 355 and why Hollywood continues to do this time and time again. The all-female, ultra-progressive 355 has hit theaters, and it's already destined to end up as another lackluster action flop, the same as Matrix Resurrections. Based on a very loose connection to a supposed female spy during the American Revolution. So the history behind that is supposedly George Washington had a spy, was referred to by the codename 355 because they didn't want to let anyone know it was actually a woman. It was actually a female spy. The film cobbles together a handful of female stars led by Jessica Chastain as they work together to prevent a new world war from breaking out. And the trailer in and of itself, again, when I saw it, I knew this was going to be a flop because it was so cringe. It was absolutely cringeworthy. You know, we see all the time in Hollywood now, 95-pound females just absolutely manhandling, 270-pound men, big, strong 270-pound men. That's not to say that you can't have believable action sequences where women do take down men. We've seen that in Hollywood for years. But it does seem like the last few years, the last 5 years especially, it has just been absolute overkill in terms of that type of film. And now you have the 355, 5 powerful women, strong women that are together to save the world. And it looks like no one's interested. Not the best or most unique premise in the world, and that's clearly evident in the mainstream critic scores, which are abysmal. However, put the story aside, and the question is why the 355 started out so poorly and will no doubt end its theatrical run without having made enough to recoup its own budget. It's all about the progressivism. So some of the things included in this movie: very tiny women beating down huge, gigantic men with no effort, stupid male characters who fall for simple sexual tricks employed by women. Hey, maybe that's actually reality. Let's just be real. Male security guard getting beat up for doing his job just to spite the patriarchy. Girl power hero shot of all the leads, check. Audiences are sick and tired of it. Even Benjamin Lee of the extremely far-left newspaper The Guardian said simply replacing male action heroes with women and then standing back waiting for applause isn't quite enough. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. And listen, I haven't seen this movie. I have no intention of going to watch this movie because from the marketing itself, it just doesn't look entertaining to me. It looked like it would be laughably bad and cringe. And it looks like that's how a lot of other people are feeling about this as well. But I think one of the funny things we will continue to see is these movies, right? These movies that do focus on, this kind of progressive message, inevitably they will be protected by a lot of people in the mainstream. And even now you're trying to see them make excuses. Box office, female spy action pick The 355 struggling amid Omicron surge. The Jessica Chastain-led film is opening amid a surge in COVID cases that is spooking the already cautious older female moviegoers. Are we really doing this? Are we seriously still talking about the pandemic and using that as an excuse for a movie's failure? When you have something that's currently out there in theaters that has grossed $1.5 billion worldwide. That's a huge, huge fucking number. Yet, just a few weeks after the opening and the subsequent domination, like it's still dominated. Its fourth weekend still is making $33 million domestically. Yet now you're using the pandemic once again as an excuse for the 355 making an abysmal $4.8 million. Even The Matrix, which is an absolute and total flop, The Matrix, what was that, $12 million opening weekend, $12.5 million, which is pathetic, pathetically bad, but not near as bad as the 355. I will at least give it a little credit though. You know, we have seen this common trope in Hollywood. We saw it with Ghostbusters 2016. We saw it with something like Ocean's 8, right? They take these franchises that are dominated by men, that were built by men, that are about men, and they flip them on their heads and they say, what about we do this but with women? And they take those things and latch onto those IPs. They latch on to the Ghostbusters IP, whatever it may be, and use that to catapult it because they can't stand on their own. At least this film didn't do that. At least this film actually is, even though it's not an original concept, female spy thriller. We've seen Charlie's Angels, stuff like that before, but at least it's an original IP that they're not, you know, going and bastardizing something else. But what this does go to show is it proves to you why they do that. It shows you why Hollywood and the people that are making these movies, in large part due to the desire to push identity politics, it tells you why they latch onto something else, because they realize that if they just put this out as a movie, it won't succeed. We know that. Same thing with the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the characters they're bringing in now. Now that they've built this to this massive thing, they're bringing in characters that nobody cared about. They're bringing in things that failed, concepts that failed standing on their own. Now they're using the mass of the MCU to push these characters that have failed time and time again. So the 355 does not look entertaining. It does not look interesting. And it is a complete and total flop at the box office. It's between, you know, $50 to $70 million budget we're looking at for this movie. So definitely at least needs to make over $100 million to have any chance of making money back. A $4.8 million start is horrific for them. So it's not looking good going forward. But I guess we all knew to expect this. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.
Thanks for watching, everyone, and a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my PO box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.